Rise of the Forgotten. The Grand Chamber of the Nexus Empire's High Council fell silent as the holographic transmission materialized before them. Supreme Archon Vexlor, ruler of 10,000 worlds, leaned forward on his obsidian throne. His 6 eyes narrowed to slits as the image stabilized, revealing a human woman in a crisp military uniform. "I am Commander Elena Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice steady and resolute. "You were warned." Vexlor's mandibles clicked in amusement. Warned? By whom? Earth is nothing. A footnote in our expansion records. 15 years ago, your warships decimated our major cities. New Delhi, Sao Paulo, Cairo, all reduced to ash in what you called a standard pacification procedure. You expected submission. Instead, we disappeared. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Strategos Colfax, head of the Imperial Armada, approached the hologram. Impossible. Earth was neutralized. The monitoring stations confirmed minimal technology, scattered tribal settlements only. "What you monitored were decoys," Chen replied. "While your watchers observed primitive villages, we built underground. We adapted your own technologies from the wreckage of your ships. We prepared." Vexlor waved a dismissive hand. "Empty threats from a broken species. Your world is quarantined. Your people scattered. You have no fleet, no allies." Commander Chen's expression didn't change. "Check your long-range sensors, Archon." The Imperial technicians worked frantically at their consoles. The massive view screen at the chamber's center flickered to life, showing the outer rim of the Nexus system. Thousands of ships hung in formation, their hulls gleaming with an unusual metal that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Impossible," whispered Colfax. "Our detection arrays would have." "Your detection arrays are based on crystalline quantum resonance," Chen interrupted. "We've been studying your technology for 15 years. We know its weaknesses." In his private chambers, Imperial diplomat Torin Zen watched the transmission with growing horror. He had been a junior envoy during the first contact with Earth. He remembered the humans as curious, peaceful, eager to join the galactic community. Then came the pacification order, standard procedure for all new species encountered by the Empire. Except nothing about the aftermath had been standard. Most species capitulated after the demonstration of Imperial might. A few fought back with primitive weapons before being fully subjugated. None had ever simply vanished. Jen accessed the classified files on Earth. The official report stated that the humans had regressed to a pre-industrial state after the attacks, their civilization shattered. Periodic surveillance showed only small settlements, basic agriculture, stone tools. The planet had been scheduled for resource extraction in another decade, once the radiation from the pacification strikes had fully dissipated. It had all been a lie. Zhen's hands trembled as he pulled up the current sensor readings. The human fleet wasn't just large, it was technologically advanced. The ships displayed configurations unknown to Imperial science, with energy signatures that defied analysis. A message flashed on his terminal. It was from an old friend in the Science Directorate. "The humans are broadcasting on all frequencies, not just to us, to every world in the Empire." Zhen switched to the public channels. Commander Chen's voice filled the room. "We speak now to all sentient beings under Nexus rule. We come not for conquest, but for justice. For 15 years, the Empire has told you that Earth was defeated, our people subjugated. They lied. We rebuilt. We advanced. And now we return to hold accountable those who ordered our destruction." Across the Imperial Palace, alarms began to sound. Zhen watched through his window as the capital's defense grid activated, energy shields shimmering into existence above the sprawling city. Too late, he realized. The humans were already here. In the High Council chamber, panic had replaced the initial shock. Strategos Colfax barked orders to his subordinates, deploying the home fleet to intercept the human armada. "You have no idea what you're facing," Chen continued, her hologram unwavering despite the chaos around it. We've neutralized your outpost in the Cygnus sector. We've disabled your communication relays in 3 systems. We control your surveillance network. Vexlor rose from his throne, his massive frame towering over the hologram. You dare threaten the Nexus Empire? We command the largest military force in the galaxy. We don't want war, Chen replied. We want justice. The officials who ordered the attack on Earth, the truth about why our world was targeted. You have 48 hours to surrender those responsible, or we will demonstrate our capabilities more directly. The hologram vanished, leaving the council in stunned silence. Chen accessed the military channels. The reports confirmed Chen's claims. Outposts gone dark, communication relays offline, but no casualties reported. The humans had disabled Imperial technology without harming personnel. A precision strike, not a slaughter. Zhen's research had shown humans to be remarkably adaptable, but this level of advancement in just 15 years seemed impossible. Unless he accessed the original first contact reports. The science team had noted unusual properties in Earth's crust, high concentrations of a rare element that had, at the time, been classified as merely interesting. What if there had been more to it? A junior diplomat entered Zhen's chambers without knocking. Sir, you're summoned to the emergency session. The Grand Assembly Hall was in chaos when Zhen arrived. Representatives from 100 worlds argued loudly, their voices echoing off the vaulted ceiling. Supreme Archon Vexlor sat with his inner circle, including Strategos Kulthax and Resource Director Mezcal. The humans must be destroyed immediately, Kulthax was saying. My third fleet stands ready to obliterate their armada. The third fleet is still 2 days from the capital, replied Defense Minister Raxus, and we've lost contact with our forward bases. Vexlor noticed Zhen hovering at the edge of the circle. Diplomat Zhen, you were present for the first contact with Earth. What insight can you offer? All eyes turned to Zhen. This was his moment to speak truth to power, to perhaps prevent further bloodshed. But it was also dangerous. The pacification of Earth had been ordered by those in this very circle. Supreme Archon, the humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability even in our first encounters. Their technological progression, while primitive by our standards, was accelerating at an unusual rate. They were peaceful, eager to learn. Yet they now threaten us with war, Kulthax sneered. In response to our aggression, Zhen countered, finding courage. The pacification strikes were excessive. We destroyed their largest cities, killed millions. Mezcal, the resource director, interjected. Standard procedure for all newly discovered species, a demonstration of power to ensure compliance. But why was Earth targeted so heavily? Zhen asked. I've reviewed the records. The strikes were more extensive than standard protocol. An uncomfortable silence fell over the inner circle. Finally, Vexlor spoke. You overstep, diplomat. The decision was made by this council, and is not for debate. Zhen bowed his head but continued. With respect, Supreme Archon, the humans are not asking for debate. They want those responsible for the attack. They want the truth. The truth, Vexlor hissed, is that Earth posed a threat to Imperial security. The pacification was necessary. Before Zhen could respond, an aide rushed into the chamber. Supreme Archon, the human fleet has moved. They bypassed our outer defenses. Our weapons couldn't target them. Strategos Kulthax stood abruptly. Impossible. Our targeting systems are the most advanced in the galaxy. The fleet reports their systems went offline as the humans approach. They're simply passing through. In the sudden silence, Zhen's mind raced. The humans weren't attacking. They were demonstrating their power, showing they could penetrate Imperial defenses at will. Send a message to Commander Chen, Vexlor ordered, his voice tight with restrained anger. Tell her I will speak with her again. As the council dispersed, Zhen felt a presence beside him. It was Lyra, a junior aide he barely noticed before. Diplomat Chen, she whispered, I have information about Earth. Meet me at the old archives. 1 hour. The old archives were housed in a forgotten wing of the Imperial complex, a place where physical records were kept as backup for the digital systems. Zhen found Lyra waiting by a dusty terminal. "What I'm about to show you could get us both executed," she said without preamble. She inserted a data crystal into the terminal. The screen filled with classified documents. Mining surveys of Earth conducted prior to first contact. Zhen read quickly, his eyes widening. Earth's crust contained the highest concentration of element J37 ever discovered, a material that could revolutionize Imperial technology. "The pacification wasn't standard procedure," Lyra said quietly. "It was orchestrated by Resource Director Mescal to secure the element. A normal integration would have required treaties, trade agreements. This way, they could simply take what they wanted from a subjugated world." "How do you know this?" Zhen asked. "Because I'm not Imperial," Lyra replied, her form shimmering slightly as she deactivated a holographic disguise. Her features shifted, becoming unmistakably human. "Lieutenant Maya Patel, Earth Intelligence. We've had people embedded in the Empire for years." Zhen stepped back, stunned. "You infiltrated the Imperial Palace." "We infiltrated everywhere," Maya replied. "While you watched our decoy villages, we studied you. Your technology. Your weaknesses." She handed him a small device. "This contains proof of the conspiracy. The names of those involved. Bring it to the next council meeting." "Why me?" Zhen asked. "Because you questioned. Because you remembered us as we were, not as the Empire portrayed us." Maya's disguise reactivated, transforming her back into Lyra. "You have a choice now, diplomat. Truth or Empire. Choose wisely." After she left, Zhen sat alone in the archives, the small device heavy in his hand. If what Maya said was true, the Empire he had served faithfully had committed a grave crime, not just against humanity, but against its own principles. Above the Imperial capital, the human fleet held position, a silent reminder of the reckoning to come. Reckoning Day. The Imperial War Room hummed with tense activity as Supreme Archon Vexlor gathered his military commanders. Strategos Colfax projected a holographic display of the human fleet's position. "They've established a perimeter around our capital system," Colfax reported, "but they haven't engaged our forces." "And the Third Fleet?" Vexlor demanded. "En route, Supreme Archon." But Colfax hesitated. "We've lost contact with the frontier outposts, all of them." Resource Director Mescal slammed his fist on the table. "This is outrageous. A primitive species should not be able to challenge the Nexus Empire." "Clearly," Vexlor said coldly, "they are no longer primitive." The doors to the war room slid open, and Diplomat Chen entered, flanked by 2 Imperial guards. He carried a small device in his hand. "Supreme Archon, I have information critical to the current crisis." Vexlor's eyes narrowed. "Speak, diplomat, but be mindful of your place." Zhen placed the device on the central table. A holographic projection appeared. Classified documents, mining surveys, and most damning of all, a recorded conversation between Mescal and several mining consortium executives. "The humans have no idea what they're sitting on." Mescal's voice echoed in the war room. "Element J37 in quantities that could make us untouchable. If we followed standard integration protocols, we'd have to negotiate. But if their world is pacified as a security threat." The recording continued, detailing the conspiracy to deliberately target Earth's civilian centers, to ensure maximum casualties and the complete collapse of human civilization. Mescal leaped to his feet. "This is fabricated. A human trick. The archive verification codes are authentic," Zhen replied calmly, "as is the Imperial seal on the mining surveys conducted before first contact was officially established." Vexlor's face had gone dangerously still. "You went outside the chain of command, diplomat." "I sought the truth, Supreme Archon. The same truth the humans demand." Before Vexlor could respond, the chamber's communication system activated. Commander Chen's hologram appeared in the center of the room. "Your time is running out, Arkin, she said. But before you decide, there's something you should know. The hologram expanded, showing footage from across the Empire. Dozens of worlds where Imperial forces had been neutralized, their weapons and ships rendered inoperable. We've disabled your military capabilities in 27 systems, Chen continued. Your subject worlds are rising up. Your empire is fracturing. Not because we conquered them, but because we showed them the truth. Vexler's mandibles clicked in agitation. This is Imperial business. You have no right. We have every right, Chen interrupted. You made it our business when you attacked Earth, when you lied to your own people about what happened, when you planned to strip our world of its resources while we struggled to survive. The war room doors burst open again. An Imperial officer rushed in, his uniform disheveled. Supreme Archon, rebellions have broken out on Talos Prime, Meridian, and the Cygnus colonies. They're demanding verification of the human broadcasts. Vexlor turned to Colfax. Status of our forces. The Strategos looked shaken. Ships are reporting critical systems failures across all sectors. Weapons offline. Shields non-responsive. It's as if. He trailed off. As if what? Vexlor demanded. As if they knew exactly how to disable our technology. Commander Chen's hologram smiled slightly. We had 15 years to study the wreckage of your ships, to understand your technological weaknesses, to plan. Jen stepped forward. Supreme Archon, the humans have demonstrated they could destroy us, yet they've chosen not to. They've disabled our military without a single casualty. They seek justice, not vengeance, a new voice said. Everyone turned to see Maya Patel, still in her Lyra disguise, entering the war room. Earth wants accountability, not destruction. Vexler's guards moved to intercept her, but their weapons powered down in their hands. Your capital is secured, Maya said calmly. Human forces have control of all critical systems. Your choice now is simple, justice or obsolescence. Strategos Colfax drew his ceremonial blade, lunging toward Maya. For the Empire. The blade passed through her, another hologram. The real Maya stepped through the door behind her projection, accompanied by a squad of humans in advanced combat armor. The Empire you serve lied to you. Strategos, she said, just as it lied to everyone about Earth. Mezcal made a break for the side exit, but found his path blocked by more human soldiers. He turned back, his face contorted with rage. You think you've won. The Empire spans thousands of worlds. You cannot control them all. We don't need to, Commander Chen replied, her hologram solidifying into physical form as she stepped through a portal that opened in the center of the war room. We only needed to show them the truth. On the main display, footage began playing from across the Empire. Crowds of various species gathering in city centers, Imperial administrators surrendering to local authorities, warships standing down as their crews refused orders. Your empire was built on lies, Chen continued, approaching Vexler's position, maintained through fear and deception. We simply removed the fear and exposed the deception. Vexler sank back into his command chair, his imperial demeanor crumbling as he realized the extent of his defeat. What do you want? Justice, Chen replied. The officials who planned the attack on Earth will face trial, not just by human standards, but by the laws of all species in the Empire. The truth about Earth and other atrocities will be made public, and a new governing council will be formed, with equal representation from all worlds. Strategos Colfax laughed bitterly. And if we refuse? In answer, Chen nodded to Maya, who activated a small device. The war room's massive view screen shifted to show a human vessel approaching one of the Empire's uninhabited moons. A beam of energy, focused and precise, struck the surface. The moon shattered, breaking apart into perfect segments, as if cut by a surgeon's scalpel. That was a mining demonstration, Chen said quietly. The technology we developed using element J37. The same element you planned to strip from our world. We could have used it to destroy your fleets, your cities. Instead, we chose a different path. Diplomat Chen stepped forward. Supreme Archon, I have served the Empire faithfully for decades. But what I've seen today, what I've learned, cannot be ignored. The humans could have destroyed us. They chose mercy instead. The war room fell silent as Vexilor considered his options. Finally, he stood, his voice subdued. I will speak to the people. The conspirators will face justice. Traitor, Mezcal screamed, pulling a hidden weapon from his robes. He fired at Vexilor, but Maya moved faster, tackling the Archon to safety as human soldiers neutralized the resource director. Your cooperation will be remembered, Chen told Vexilor as he was helped to his feet. This is not the end of the Nexus Empire. It's a transformation. In the days that followed, the truth spread across the galaxy. The 7 officials who had orchestrated the attack on Earth were put on trial before representatives from every world in the Empire. The evidence was overwhelming. Records of resource exploitation, deliberate targeting of civilian centers, falsified reports about the aftermath. The revelation that similar tactics had been used against other worlds sparked widespread reform. The Nexus Empire became the Galactic Confederation, with power distributed among member worlds rather than concentrated in a single authoritarian structure. Earth joined the Confederation as an equal partner, sharing its technological advancements while maintaining safeguards against misuse. The element J-37 that had nearly led to humanity's destruction instead became the foundation for a new era of cooperation and advancement. 6 months after the confrontation in the Imperial War Room, Diplomat Chen stood on a balcony overlooking the former Imperial capital. The city had changed, less ostentatious, more functional. Representatives from hundreds of worlds now walked its streets freely. Quite a view, isn't it? Maya said, joining him at the railing. She no longer needed a disguise. I never imagined the Empire could change so dramatically, Zhen admitted. Or so peacefully. There was nothing peaceful about what happened to Earth, Maya replied. But we learned from it. We decided that vengeance would only continue the cycle. Zhen nodded. You could have destroyed us all. We could have. Maya agreed. There were those among us who wanted to. But what would that have accomplished? More death, more hatred. We chose a harder path, justice without destruction. Below them, a delegation from Earth was arriving for the first official conference of the Galactic Confederation. Commander Chen led the group, now serving as Earth's representative to the new governing council. Your people have changed the galaxy, Zhen said. Maya smiled. That was never our goal. We just wanted to ensure that what happened to Earth never happened to anyone else. In the conference hall, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered. The former Supreme Archon Vexilor, now serving as the transitional leader of the Confederation, called the meeting to order. Today marks a new beginning, he announced, not just for the former Empire, but for all species across the galaxy. We have learned a costly lesson, that true strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation. Commander Chen took the podium next. 15 years ago, humanity faced extinction. We survived through adaptation, determination, and unity. These are the qualities we bring to the Confederation, not as conquerors, but as partners. As the conference proceeded, discussions of trade, technology sharing, and mutual defense filled the agenda. The element J-37 that had nearly triggered humanity's destruction would now fuel a new era of exploration and discovery. In orbit above the capital, the Earth Defense Fleet maintained its vigilant watch, not as an occupying force, but as a reminder of the past and a guardian of the future. Humanity had emerged from the shadow of near extinction to take its place among the stars, not through conquest, but through resilience and wisdom. The echo of defiance that had sustained Earth through its darkest hour had transformed into something greater, a call for justice that resonated across the galaxy, changing the course of history for thousands of worlds. Zhen watched the proceedings with a sense of hope he had never expected to feel again. The empire he had served was gone, replaced by something better, something that might, in time, become worthy of the mercy humanity had shown. You know, Maya said, interrupting his thoughts, there's an old Earth saying, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Zhen considered this. I believe I'm beginning to understand what that means. Maya smiled. So are we all.